My Hero Ultra Rumble is one of the most hilariously broken battle royales to ever exist. It's a game that raises the question, what if we took your favorite anime characters and put them in a gacha-fueled gladiator pit, held together by duct tape, spaghetti code, and the power of friendship? Well, the result is an absolute fever dream of a video game. We're talking questionable monetization practices, glitches that feel illegal to even look at, and character balancing that feels like it was decided by spinning a roulette wheel. Yet somehow, despite being flawed on a molecular level, it survived. It passed the live service test. Not only did it make it through those first crucial months, but it's actively thriving years later with a decently sized player base. While multi-million-dollar giants like Multiverses, Concord, and most recently, Highguard have completely flatlined. But its survival came at a cost. It lived by embracing the dark arts of the industry. So as someone who has sunk over 200 hours into this game and has reached the highest rank, yes ladies, I am single, I will show you just how hilariously broken My Hero Ultra Rumble really is. And to truly understand how this game manages to stay in this broken state, we need to break down the 4 things keeping it that way. Starting with the game's foundation and ending in a dark corner so deeply cursed, so fundamentally unhinged that I might get put on a government watch list just for showing it to you. So let us begin with the biblically accurate characters. What makes My Hero Ultra Rumble truly unique isn't just the size of the roster, but the terrifying commitment to lore accuracy. A lot of games will tone down characters' abilities from the lore to make them much more manageable to deal with, and of course, balance. It would be insane to fight characters like Superman, Goku, or God forbid Kirby at full strength in the games they appear in. But My Hero Ultra Rumble looks at that logic, laughs, and throws it out of the window. You have to fight the My Hero characters at their lore accurate peaks, or somehow even stronger. Every time you get into a lobby, you aren't just playing a battle royale, you are duking it out with demigods of death and destruction. Take Muriel for example. He has a quirk called permeation, allowing him to phase through everything in the game. Yes, everything. Allowing him to do stupid shit like this. The devs have nerfed him multiple times, but because his power is based on ignoring the laws of physics, he's still insanely powerful, but his kit will randomly glitch you out of the map. Then you have characters like One For All Deku, who, and I'm not joking when I say this, can put you into inescapable combo loops until you're crawling on all fours. Or what about Lady Nagant, a character who has sickening range and can completely destroy your health bar in one shot with the literal sniper she has for an arm, and it just keeps going. You'll run into Seaman, Toss, a man made of concrete who turns the final circle into a claustrophobic game of Fortnite, Shigaraki, who can just turn the floor into lava. Don't even get me started on Monoma, who copies people's abilities and dominates lobbies doing what can only be described as unregulated AC-130 airstrikes. And All For One, who can drop a meteor the size of a Walmart parking lot on top of everybody's heads. You can't help but laugh at the absurd things some of these characters can pull off. Of course, the best ones are locked in the gacha mines, which I'll definitely get to later, but the core issue with the game's balance isn't that the bottom tiers are unplayable, it's that you have to sweat out of your mind just to survive playing lower tiers, while the top tiers are basically walking Swiss Army knives. Honestly, it'd be one thing if the strength of each character was consistently lore accurate across the entire cast to justify this, but the devs pick and choose when they want to follow the anime. Since you have characters like Twice, a guy who can canonically spawn an army of clones, becoming a depressed shell of himself who can spawn exactly 1 clone. 2 if you're lucky. Or All Might, the Superman of the My Hero universe, being reduced to a mid-tier character. But then you have Armored All Might, which is just All Might if he was Iron Man, who is a top-tier threat in the game and much stronger than himself in his prime. Makes total sense, right? This Grand Canyon size inconsistency and strength is one of the reasons why this game is hilariously broken. When tier lists range from,
I mean, it's alright, like,
to actual demigods walking amongst mortals, it makes the balance in this game feel like a complete myth. This gap between the haves and the have-nots is already ridiculous enough on its own. But what makes it even worse is that the devs are actively doubling down on this. It seems like every time a new season comes around, the newest character that gets released is more diabolically broken and janky than the last. Don't get me wrong, it is fun as hell playing these busted ass characters, but being on the receiving end of them makes you want to immediately uninstall and throw your gaming hardware of choice into oncoming traffic. At this point, with how consistently broken every single release has been, I wouldn't even be surprised if the devs purposely added meta-defining glitches to the game with the new characters just to make people want to play them more, which unfortunately brings me to the glitches. As much as the broken characters make you want to rip your hair out, the spaghetti code holding this game together might be even more hilariously janky. You would think a battle royale with a dedicated ranked mode that relies on competitive integrity would try to actively fix game-breaking glitches, right? Right? Well, you'd be sorely mistaken. In Ultra Rumble, glitches aren't problems to fix, they're surprise mechanics. The devs really don't give a fuck about the glitches to the point where I truly think they add them in on purpose, because there's just no way some of these glitches should be allowed in our plane of existence. Like infinitely spamming abilities as if it were a League of Legends Earth game, being randomly placed in a lobby with almost double the player count, casually being able to instant transmission above the map, spamming melees to fly across the map, teleporting out of the pre-game lobby, one of my personal favorites, drinking and flying, not to be confused with its messed up older brother, drinking and driving. This glitch was so incredibly busted, the devs literally copy-pasted it and made it a passive for a new character, and Mirio as a character. I've mentioned this invincible bastard before, but thanks to his loaded kit, he himself is a glitch. You'll get stuck inside walls, get TP'd back to where you started if the game doesn't know where to put you after you use an ability, or just straight up phase below the map. So at their best, the glitches are just a haha funny magic trick, but at their worst, they turn the game into a psychological horror experience. And arguably, the absolute worst example of this, players realize that with Lady Nagant, using very little effort, you could do this. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. She can just casually fly to the top of the skybox. And not only that, she can still use abilities, allowing you to rain down tactical nukes on the peasants below with minimal retaliation. The wildest part about the glitches in this game aren't the amount of them or how outrageous they get. It's that the devs take their sweet ass time patching stuff like this. These surprise mechanics aren't dealt with until the glitch is fully milked, heavily abused, and people rage quit the game over them. There are plenty more glitches I could cover, but I think you get the point by now. This game is held together with thoughts and prayers and massive amounts of duct tape. It's hilarious that the devs seem to give negative fucks about keeping the game technically sound, but that's because they're too busy counting the racks of money they make from their digital casino. It's time to address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the gacha. Probably the most necessary evil gaming practice in the entire gaming industry is the monetization system by which this free-to-play game actually makes money. Now, I understand that the devs need to make money, and I don't personally have anything against gachas, but the way MHUR Ultra Rumble goes about it isn't just greedy, it is spit-in-your-face levels of disrespect. Since in the past, if you were unlucky and couldn't roll a character you wanted through the gacha, you could just grind the game, earn character tickets, and unlock whoever you wanted for free. It was a massive win for the entire community, but the devs looked at all of the people playing the game to earn characters rather than paying for them, realized that they could be making even more money, and absolutely gutted that system. Nowadays, almost every top tier character has been locked up in gacha purgatory, where the only way to get them is to submit your soul to a system that will take and take, but rarely ever give. Sure, you could always just roll the gacha to unlock characters without waiting for them to drop into the character ticket roster, but the amount of money that actually requires will leave you at a loss for words. Shout out to Elephant Steak's video on Ultra Rumble's gacha system, and the numbers may have changed a bit, but if your luck is in the dumps and you're forced to hit the pity system, guaranteeing just one character will run you around $385. If you wanted to unlock the whole roster, that'll be the measly sum of around $6,159.
You serious?
Which is hilariously mind-numbing to think about, especially in this economy. However, what drags this gacha system from standard corporate greed to blood-sucking succubus haunting you for your love of my hero are the fucking skins. In a regular live service game, a skin makes you or your weapons look cooler, and that's it. Well, most live services anyways. But it's a win-win for both parties. You as a player give money to the dev, and in return, you get to stunt on your friends and opponents in lobbies. The thing is, skins in Ultra Rumble aren't just cosmetic anymore. Back in 2024, a new mechanic was introduced called tunings, which basically means your outfits now give you actual gameplay buffs. And these aren't just any regular buffs. Each skin has 12 different slots that you can add upgrades to that range from running faster and jumping higher to just straight up doing more damage, with 2 of those slots specifically dedicated to give you insane bonuses that you would not have access to otherwise, like brainwashing your opponent through a single melee attack with Shinso's tuning, getting left with 1 HP when getting hit with an otherwise fatal attack with Kirishima's, or my personal favorite, critical permeation, of course belonging to Mirio, which turns you completely invisible the second you take damage, so you can scurry away into the cut corner and heal while everybody else dukes it out. There are so many more of these, with each one being extremely helpful to have, and can be the difference between you winning a fight or waiting another 10 minutes to get back into a lobby. Which means not only do you have to roll for the character you want, but you have to step back into the casino and roll for specific costumes if you want to take that character from a regular hero to a weapon of mass destruction. However, getting a specific character's tuning skill actually requires you owning the character first. So if you get lucky and pull a skin that you're looking for, but you don't own the base character, you get the skin, but no access to the tunings you'd want to equip. The game literally holds those skills hostage until you go right back to the slot machines and gamble for the character themselves. At the end of the day, the gacha system in this game reaches a point where the investment for characters and skins is so high, it honestly feels less like paying to win and more like paying to lose. I will give the devs some credit though, since they've been working on making the game more free-to-play friendly through increasing the size of the character ticket roster and the battle pass having much better rewards to offer, which are massive steps in the right direction. Changes like this are a huge reason why the player base is as loyal as it is and have stuck around to this day. But that finally brings me to the last hilariously broken part about this game: the community. Look, MHUR was, and still is, notoriously known for having one of the most eccentric fan bases on the entire internet. And the apple did not fall far from the tree at all when it comes to MHUR Ultra Rumble. The player base is an absolute cesspool of contrasting personalities, where on one end of the spectrum, you've got the genuinely wholesome fans. The people who love that Ultra Rumble is a faithful adaptation of one of their favorite animes, plays with their friends, drops you items, and are actually really helpful and fun to play with. And on the exact opposite end, you have the downright dirty Dans. The menaces who are out here constantly exploiting and blatantly cheating, making the game downright unplayable at times. Seriously though, what the fuck is this? But as bad as the cheaters are, they aren't even the final bosses of this game, because there is a universal rule in MHUR Ultra Rumble. The people with the most awe-inducing, straight up vile usernames you have ever seen will be the best players in any lobby. I'm talking about usernames so completely out of pocket that they'll leave you traumatized just for reading them. Yet, despite how terribly broken this game is, and how much I've groaned about it for the last 12 minutes, I still can't help but recommend it. Maybe it's the Stockholm Syndrome talking, but if you're looking for a wacky, unique battle royale to play, this is it if you haven't played it already. It most definitely has its flaws, but once you see through the game's imperfections and get a hang of the mechanics, you have a game that genuinely caters to the ultimate anime power fantasy, which is probably why, against all odds, the game has had 16 seasons as of the recording of this video. And with how many anime games come and go nowadays, hell, games in general, I'm fully confident that this game will just keep going strong. It has carved out its own weird but undeniable lane in the battle royale genre, and you kind of have to respect it, despite how hilariously broken the game is.
Damn, what the fuck? Bro, not even aim labs can get you ready for that shit.